Good morning. My name is Kasby Harrison. I am a litigation attorney in private practice who's had experience working in a corner office of this state house and who has for decades listened to and advocated on behalf of minority contractors for fair participation in taxpayer dollars spent to purchase construction services, goods and services, professional services for architects and engineers and attorneys. We are here today to discuss the Minority and Women Business Enterprise Statute, a law that's been on the books, and interestingly, we don't have to go looking into history beyond our existence here. The Honorable Senator Harold Metz introduced this legislation in 1986, and at that time when it passed, it created a set aside, a guarantee of 15% of all state dollars to go to minority and women contractors. And there was backlash. That's too much. That's reverse discrimination. That is an assumption that it is even needed. And a national organization filed a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of Rhode Island's Minority Business Enterprise Statute. So they were suing the state of Rhode Island and saying this is unconstitutional, it's hurting the majority community, it's not fair, it's not justified. Rhode Island Attorney James McNeil, as Attorney General, had the responsibility of defending against this lawsuit to uphold the constitutionality. And his Chief of Civil Litigation Nicholas Trotlaw and his Chief Defense Attorney Sheldon Whitehouse and I fought that case and won, preserving the constitutionality of the statute. 3 years later, the United States Supreme Court decided the case of the City of Richmond, Virginia versus Croson. And in that case, the Supreme Court said it's not enough that minority contractors tell you that they've been discriminated against, that they've been given the thinnest slice of the pie. You have to have statistical proof that there is discrimination. And so there was an economic disparity study conducted by the state of Rhode Island in the early 90s. And guess what it found? It found the same thing that the economic disparity study that we're talking about today found. That we know what the percentage of African American, Hispanic, Asian, Portuguese, we know what their percentages are in our society. We know the list of minority contractors who have applied to the state of Rhode Island for certification to be certified as a minority business, as a women-owned business, and they are receiving 2.8%, 4.36%. We can see that they are not getting anything close to 10% of the state's, the money that the state is spending. And we should be. And so that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the fact that it's been over 30 years that this law has been in effect and yet is still not being enforced. It's not achieving the results that it was intended to achieve. Why is that? Well, the disparity study that was conducted for this 3-year span from 2014 to 2017 says that the state of Rhode Island has no system in place to determine when a majority-owned prime contractor subcontracts out. The state of Rhode Island has no way of knowing who those subcontractors are. The reason that economic disparity study cost $500,000 is because the study people had to go and create that data from mounds of paper that the state has. But the fact that the state is not even keeping track of who's receiving the subcontracts is a huge problem and signals a lack of sincere desire. How can you enforce the law if you don't even keep the data that enables you to track it? So we call upon the state to be more aggressive about enforcing the Minority and Women Business Enterprise statute. How do you do that? Right now, you've got a dozen different agencies. A majority of the procurement occurs right out of the Department of Administration across the street here. But each agency is also purchasing on its own. And there are so many moving parts. There is no one person that you can point your finger to and say, it's your responsibility to make sure this law is effective. No one has that responsibility. I guess you could say it stops at the governor, but the reality is no one is being called on the carpet or has ever been called on the carpet for a failure to achieve the 10% goal. It would be wonderful if in the governor's state of the state address annually discussing the budget and the state of Rhode Island's health, it would be wonderful if it was required that there be a statement giving the state its A, B, C, or F grade on how well it did on the MWBE enforcement. When the General Assembly passes its budget, there ought to be part of that budget report should indicate how well are we doing on minority contractors. The contractors, the study says that it has anecdotal. Part of the study is statistical, part of it is anecdotal. What's anecdotal? That means speaking to contractors and asking, what has your experience been? And their experience is documented in the report. Their experience is, I got a subcontract from a general contractor. This general contractor is a multi-million-dollar company. They had made me wait 8 months after my work was completed to pay me. How can I stay in business when I have to wait that long? When I complain to the state, they tell me, yeah, there is a law in place that's supposed to prevent that from happening, but no one is enforcing that. We need somebody whose job it is to enforce compliance with the Minority and Women Business Enterprise Law. And that's what we're here to protest about. We'd like to see some action. We'd like to see the money go where the state's mouth is and enforce this MWBE law. Thank you very much.